Um, I'm going to put on here some comments to my videos that I would like people to hear. And it's not just this couple that I'm putting up. There's a lot of them, and filtered in between, or in between, there are some good comments of caring, a few that care. And I've put all this up over the years. First of all, I can't get an attorney. I've taken it to legal aid, and I've put all this up. So these people didn't even that made these comments didn't even bother themselves to look back on or check out anything, and they made these sick comments to me. Uh, I went to legal aid. This is just one of few. The only attorney I had was Eugene Kaiser, a former Fulton County district attorney. Well, he was in private practice then. And he was one that knew a lot of things about Piedmont Hospital and Larry McDonald, the U.S. Congressman doctor I wrote about, and they tried to kill me, quite frankly. Paul Beecham, was it Paul Beecham is his name? I think he's still in practice, and he's older than I am, so hey. But without going further, Eugene Kaiser was a good attorney. So maybe he did all he could. There is a seal on a suit that really my husband stepped in. He was kind of hand in hand in all this. And then when I was almost killed, and anyway, in April Fool Day of '80, and this has just been ongoing. That there were attempts, really attempts. They almost did it on my life. And I found out in '83, late '83, when I ran in the campaign to replace the doctor I wrote about, one of them. And the book was unpublished because they almost killed me. And by the way, I had a letter from the FBI, ongoing investigation, national security involved. I've told all this over and over and more of it. And I think people say that would probably say, because there's always a comeback to it. I should have this or I should have that, rather than the people should have done something. I used my money, what little I had, while I begged and pleaded and walked and tried to find out about my children. And somehow all this blame of my being kidnapped and I told the truth is attached to me, like I'm the bad person. Why didn't I this or that? Part of it is because of who I am. I'm Margaret Ann Windsor. My father's Edward VIII. And I lost part of this little, excuse me, because I don't have my money in my home. And I have to get down and crawl, as you can see. Well, that was on the side of the road and falling down and from one town to the other and freezing on top of, and then somebody call you nuts. There's nothing nuts about it to these people who have said some of these things. I've had the same doctor since I'm explaining to you, Americans, and there's others, they just like to throw it aside. No, you're crazy, you're a nut, and call you names. No, I'm none of those things. And there's a whole story behind some things that I haven't told. I will answer to your sorry words and everything. To me, a lady who cared and was guilty of telling the truth and being kidnapped and brought over here. This is ridiculous. For telling the truth, this is what I'm explaining over and over. I have been seeing the same doctor and others that, they send you to an ear doctor, and I was in the hospital for vertigo, and that's a whole story in itself, what happened that caused the vertigo. I beg pardon. I'll tell you what I take. And this is what I've taken for years and years and years. This is the same thing. I take Nambutone, It's a generic for Relafin. It's for inflammation because I have an autoimmune disorder that if I'm in and around toxic fumes in a close quarters, my immune system attacks itself, and the inflammation can cause me my veins damage every organ in my body, especially if I'm exposed to it over a period of time, and I have been deliberately. Uh, I'm on a small amount of high blood pressure. I take my vitamins, and now I'm on a vertigo because of all this mess of inhaling stuff that's unbelievable what has been allowed to happen to me. So I went on YouTube and Facebook and social media trying to gain help. The last attorney I tried to go to, the legal aid, this guy Boswick attorney, this is here in Roanoke, he Xeroxed all the things I took in there, and believe me, there was a bunch that should have been addressed, period. He was very nice. He did that, and he told me to call him back in a couple of days. Well, I did, and he was gone. Hook, line, and sinker. This attorney had walked in there, legal aid. If he had worked for them, I thought he had prior, and maybe he had, but he was gone then, and they wouldn't even talk to me. The other attorneys told me not to call back. He was gone. Okay, I could go on and on. I had money that was supposed to be left by my husband, a divorce, that had a $100,000 insurance policy. And anything he had was, he signed this. He went to my attorney and did all this, and look at me. Anything he should ever have was half mine. Supposedly, and I'm saying that he remarried. And Twyla, she was a beautician. This was all set up when they just about killed me at Laurelwood, April Fool Day. And I had a letter from the FBI and ongoing investigation, national security involved, in trying to get the book published. And they were doing things to my children, putting sugar in the lifters of the car. The car's going out at night after one of my sons would get off from work, and he was left on the interstate with his car shut off at that time of the night. And thank goodness the one time it was so bad, the police showed up right behind him and helped him. But they were terrorized. It's always been that. I've been terrorized, harassed, tortured, and my children, and none of the truth that whole mess has been told. I keep waiting and hoping. And I guess I'm going to go ahead and say this. I'm going to read this in a minute, and it's just a couple out of it. And by the way, there have been a couple that on there that have tried to help. In fact, I'm told that now someone tried to help me, and I couldn't get phone calls in, so I went up to see about it, and somebody would come and see. Well, all you have to do is plug it in up front, Well, they said that. So there was a guy come in that I haven't seen before. He's not the regular maintenance guy I know. So he comes in, and then they tell me that I'm told that you have to have a code to call in to speak to me. And I can't call out except on my phone that I have now. Okay? I'm laughing not because it's funny. It's the only way out for me. I'd be screaming. But anyway, I wanted to get back to this. People refer, you should get an attorney. And then I'm explaining, I can't get an attorney. Why can't you? And I have to go into this long story when I've told all this and put it up. I'm going to say it again before I get to the other. This is Wallace Simpson, married a double, an imposter. She never married my father. They were illegal. They became the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, an illegal title. He died in 1972 and was buried at Frogmore, Windsor Castle. So good luck to you, Harry and Meghan. Well, I don't really mean that. You're going to be married there in Windsor Castle. And let me remind you, this woman who is feeding this whole crew, and living off of me. She's illegal. She's a fake monarch. Her father, George the Sixth, here he is. He's not George the Sixth even. He's a brother who did as the Illuminati told him to. My father wouldn't. He was king, and he wouldn't follow their orders. He did what he was supposed to do. And here's the thanks my dad got for it. He was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe always. They were still alive, and married each other October the 20th of 86 when I came to Roanoke. How they lived, I don't know, except Georgia, my aunt, the artist, had money. My mom had some. They took my father's identity, the Windsors did, and the Illuminati, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, the Kennedys loved it. JFK flew into the embassy. He helped kidnap me. His father was made ambassador in 36. When all this take down to my father and my mom was queen, they burned the Windsor files. Sir Winston Churchill, the SOB. This is Roosevelt, and this is Elizabeth's, supposedly the queen mom, which is a joke. They took my mom out and my dad out and said that my dad married this American spy. A total lie. They've always known it. Elizabeth was always known it. Elizabeth was in the same castle when I was kidnapped in 1941 and brought to Moulton, Alabama. Given another name, Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married at Childers. I still have to use the name. And then there's always something to that. I'm trying to get my father's name cleared, because now with Meghan Markle coming up, well, I want back what's mine. I want the truth told. Meghan Markle is supposed to be marrying Harry. The press has been bringing up pictures of Wallace Simpson and the double, but they don't say that. They refer to him as the King of England. This is my dad here. It's a total lie, but they refer to it as the king gave up his throne to marry Wallace Simpson, the American, and divorcee, etc. It's all a lie. All a friggin' lie. George here, that became the illegal monarch, is sitting here in 1939 planning my kidnapping. In 41. I want to skip to this, and excuse me if I'm skipping here before I get to these couple of lovely comments out of a whole bunch of them. I was writing about mind control murders in 76, and I moved from Treetop to Moonraker, and then moved to Laurelwood May the 8th of 79, and the letter from the FBI and all this other happened. I was almost killed. Everything taken from me then, April Fool Day of 80. But the book was about chipping people. Anybody can look it up. All you have to do is Google mind control. You might not get what I've been telling. I wrote about how it was actually done, at least back then. And you can create illnesses or cure it. You can cause cancer. Anything. You can cure anything and cause anything. It's kind of like these preachers out there, only it's done different, in a different way. Oh, wow. That say, heal you. Do you believe? Well, part of it is in do you believe? And these people are healed. Some of them really are, because this is what's going on with the mind. It's been going on since the Tesla files, which were stolen in 1930. You can cure an illness, you can create one. You can make it appear as suicide when it's murder by the puppeteers, all right? Whether you want to say it's MK Ultra, and I happen to know who, and I really at this point, I don't know, I probably wouldn't be alive as bad as it's been. But anyway, I'm going to let it go. This is someone who was in your military. Now, how many, maybe you better check all you people to see if you've been chipped. Root canal, heart bypass, they chip animals. Any fool can stop and think you're not deaf, dumb, and blind yet. Excuse me, but I've had some nasty said to me. Suddenly you had your head in the sand and don't want to hear it. Uh, anyway, this is Timothy McVeigh, and he went on to the bombing of Oklahoma City bombing. Now, he was programmed. He says here, U.S. Army implanted a chip in his buttocks, and they did. And this is one of them that can be proven. The man that was, what was his name? I can't think of it now. I know it Brian, isn't his name Brian? Anyway, he's in jail. They were supposed to have helped him, but Timothy Nichols was put to death. Well, here's a little William that everybody loves. He's illegal, and that's all I'm going to say about that at the moment, if I ever get a chance. A church gave me a book, and it was called Project Lucid. And it talks about, this is what I was talking about, and the church gave it to me. It was a book. Only I didn't connect it to the Bible and stuff then. But this is the biochip will be the agency by which all financial transactions, etc., mark of the beast, implantable biochips. This is the Rockefellers and Rothschilds, your global government. That's the United Nations now, front for it. This is the people that kidnapped me. Joe Kennedy, the father that was appointed by ambassador by Roosevelt, and my own uncle, they appointed him. They took out my dad. They didn't appoint him. They just put him in. Took my father out with all these lies that they're still telling. And now, so that I get this up, this woman's running around with a bouquet. She got to go to all the best schools. While I was working and walking and feeding the woman, and I don't deny Philip, he was put in there because of the name. Philip Mountbatten married this woman, a cousin. He's the same relation to me he is to her, except I didn't marry him. He didn't marry me, but Philip was put there for a reason, as a baby. And it's like, how can all this be put together and people still be denying me? But anyway, she gets up in the morning. I wonder what her schedule is. She's got cameras. She's got people waiting on her hand and foot. Well, excuse me. Excuse me. And I think you get the message, because I've told you what I've been through, all of you, at least a degree, and that was a hell of a thing. I want to say this, and then I'm going to try to get those letters up. I did want to mention this, and I haven't said much about it in a long time. This is one of the mind control murders. Larry Flint was shot by a program shooter, and he did an article on me, editorial, that I've put up, that I knew who was responsible for his shooting in Lawrenceville, Georgia, March the 6th of 78. He flew me out to his home in Bel Air twice. In October of 83, and I was in a political campaign. Odd, isn't it, that one of the very doctors that tried to help kill me and Flint, and he puts this in the article, went down, or supposedly went down in the KAL that crashed into the ocean en route from Juneau, Alaska to Seoul, South Korea. Nixon, former president, was taken off just before the flight left. So somebody knew that it was going down, and they took him off. And Geraldo was supposed to have gotten off, Rivera. I wanted to tell this. This was, I've told about patterns used in the murders, mind control murders, because mind control is invisible. This is a state trooper, and I don't know if I'll get his title right. I can hardly see now. This was in the paper Tuesday, August the 17th, 2010. And it was 1 year anniversary of it, if you want to say anniversary. This is Heidi Childs, she was 18, and David Metzer, 19. At the side of the desk at Caldwell, and you have to know some of these where they fit in, Caldwell and Childs. That's easy enough. It's almost my married last name. Craig is very important in it, and I don't know. You can judge for yourself there. I have no idea if it's true or not. That this part that you're looking at. So you make out of that what you want to. Everybody has. But anyway, it's in Montgomery County, and this is state trooper. But anyway, his wife's name is Laura Childs. Laura, it's taking stuff from me growing up, and anyway, Laura was the name of my husband's sister that was a part of this crap in April Fool Day of 80 that almost got me killed. And she's living good, the last I heard. She was a CPA for her. So Don and Laura Childs were the parents, and they were shot down with rifles. They went to school at Blacksburg, where the shootings took place, the mass shootings. That the young fellow was from South Korea. He was a student, and he shot 32, and then he was programmed to shoot himself as well. He shot them, but at Virginia Tech. Well, there's Tech up there. But this is where Heidi and the young man, her friend, went to school, and they were gunned down. They were just out at the National Forest here. And this is not where the National Forest, though, is where I lived for so long in agony. Starving and freezing and everything in the book, and that's just a segment of it. But Jefferson National Forest was really where I never went that far, quite that far to Blacksburg where this happened, but it was done in patterns, and this one has never been solved other than I think everybody knows how it was done, and it's one of those that I've been telling about, and I am so sorry for this family, because I understand that some of the Virginia state troopers were some of the ones that did try to help me, and the Alabama state troopers certainly wasn't my family and the United Nations and the Dempseys. That's where I was taken to a hellhole. You know, I'm going to say this. As you can see, I don't have all my money, so I'm begging and freezing and pulling trash bags to keep a few things together and hoping my children are alive. And I'm going to read you this. This is just one out of, so there's a bunch of them. This is, he'll love this, I guess. He wrote 3 times, made the same comment. Travis Hyde. This comment under one of my videos on YouTube. Notifications. This is a notification from him. Oh my F God. You put this on YouTube, so it's obviously true. 3 period 3 3 period. And then he's got BU-BU-BU-AH. I don't know what he means. Silence in parentheses. I don't know what he means there. Get a DNA. Test your dumb cunt royal DNA. Samples are made public for this reason. But as America, why are all of these wannabe pretenders to the British throne, backwoods but shit crazy hags? None of them possess the grace and dignity that a woman, she's a cold-blooded killer. She's one of the biggest thieves, traitors, criminals ever walked the planet. Hey, she can have her hair done. I'm sure she has it combed for her every day or fluffed. A monarch should have, if they really believe that they are to inherit the throne. You think they would be dressing, acting, and spending and speaking as class shows, and this woman definitely does not have it. Evidently, he didn't even give time or more likely didn't care. But there was another one on there, some more on there, and I'm just going to mention their name. That's all. And this is just three of them on this video. Patricia Bento, I'm sure they'll love it. Woman, please seek for mental treatment urgently. And then you got Searia, first name Kitt, similar, along the same line that was said then. So excuse me for being kidnapped. Excuse me for being born to a beautiful man and woman, King Edward VIII and Claudia Ruth O'Keefe. Excuse me because your government, America, and part of my own was a bunch of crooked fools. And by the way, everybody was gung-ho to punish the Germans. I really wonder how much the Germans was blamed on the Germans, you know. You really get into all this and it makes you wonder. You were all gung-ho to have the war crimes tribunal and all this. Not one person, and it's been ongoing down this journey that I've walked in, not one has paid for their crimes. And there have been multitudes and multitudes. Oh yes, it's only if it's ever, whether God comes back or I don't know. You know, maybe this is ongoing. There's never any justice or a touch of it. And my father's name's never cleared. And this just goes on. So I put it on YouTube and Facebook so an attorney wouldn't touch it. I'm going to let it go with that, I guess. And I want to ask you, if these people happen to be viewing this, what would you do if this were all shown and all the ugly little comments you've made? I do want to say this now. I'm just going to stop. Quite frankly, my video time's going up. But when I started doing this, I didn't find out about my kidnapping until '83, till I was out and in that campaign, political campaign, and the doctor that I'd written about went down, Larry McDonald, in the ocean, and I was in that special election. I found out then, and I could remember a lot. And there were British always there. When I was almost killed twice, who do you think came to my rescue? The British and the German people. And some of my family in Germany that were Germans. But I guess I'm going to sit here and I guess you'd call it babbling right at the moment. I've been beaten. I've had everything in the book done to me. And this is what I really wanted to say. When I started doing the book, it was my money and my hell. And the line of Dempsey and that Dempsey family that had killed the twins, and I was put there and have to use Peggy's name. Both twins were killed. I started doing the book. It was a horrible life down there, the abuse and sickness and all of it. It's unreal. So for me to have withstood that and all of this that I've had to go through is a tribute to me. But what I really wanted to say was I was always good-hearted, overly. Wanted to help people. I felt their pain. And I also felt their happiness to a degree when they were happy. But I did this because I cared. I thought that people who had sons like Timothy McVeigh, etc., who were programmed, and they're not the villains. He was put to death. I thought people should want to know what was being used on them, and if Timothy McVeigh's parents, I'm sure, would like to know the truth of why their son died. And the Virginia Tech, all of these have been mind control, and nobody will touch it. And that's not, there's a list of them that I know of that are deaths of movie stars. Steve McQueen was one, and I had a doctor that I used to work for. I couldn't believe it when he was talking to me and was talking about it, and I thought, my God, I've been trying to get people to listen to me.